Okay, one of the things that's not on your sheet that I want to kind of go over with you before we move on to the back part is the ways to write numbers. And we can write numbers, we just talked about this just a second ago. We can write them in standard form. And standard form is strictly just the number written as normal, okay? So if we go back and we look at the number that was on the front part of our notes, it was, I believe it was 8,734,240,000. So that's standard form, okay? It's just the way that you write the number, the way you've always learned to write a number. From standard form, we have something that is called expanded form. And expanded form is, as was mentioned before, is where we're using the pluses, where we're breaking down its individual period or its individual unit within the period. So if we take this number and write it in expanded form, we look here at how many billions do we have? We have 8 billion. And from there we move down through our periods. So we are now into the millions, and this is the 100 millions location. So we have 700 million, excuse me. Plus, we have, this is the 10 million spot. So we have 10 million, so that's 30 million, okay, 30 million. Plus, we now move to the 1 millions place. We have 4 of those 1 millions. So that's going to be plus 4 million. Plus, we're now into our new period of, what period is this 2 in?
Thousands.
Not thousands, but it's in the thousands period, right? But how many thousands is that?
2,000.
Say it again.
100,000.
It's in the 100,000. So how many do we have of those 100,000s?
200,000.
2 of those 100,000, so it's 200,000, right? So plus 200,000 plus, still in our thousands, but the 4 is located in what unit of the thousands? The 10,000s, and there's 4 of those, so that makes 40,000. So that's expanded form, where we put in the pluses and we're adding each unit from each period together, okay? So again, that's not on your, it's not on your packet of work, but I still wanted to kind of go over that because it's extremely important that you know those 2 different forms. And you can also put it in words. So you've got standard form, word form, and expanded form. So if you're following along with us on the video, you'll need to be on the back page of the first page, or actually the second page, because you don't have a back page because you don't have a staple packet. So it kind of makes it a little bit different. So if I tell you something here, guys, for those of you that are in class, if I tell you something, you'll need to kind of follow along. For those that are at home, you'll have to kind of figure it out. So if I say the back page of something, you're probably going to be on a completely separate page, okay? Again, we're all trying to figure this out together, so this is all new. So we're still talking about place value, and we're talking about moving left and right along the place value chart, okay? Moving left and right, because when we move certain directions, things get larger, and they can also get smaller depending on the way that you move, okay? It all depends on the way that you move. So if you kind of follow with this, guys, I want you to notice on the first bullet, it says the value of each digit is 10 times larger than the digit in the place after it. Okay? What that means is this. If we start here in the ones place, okay? If we're in the ones place, and then we move to the tens place, the tens place number is 10 times as big as this. Okay? If you look at the bottom, you'll see that. Okay? The ones and the tens. The tens is 10 times bigger than the ones. The hundreds is 10 times bigger than the tens. The thousands is 10 times bigger than the hundreds, so forth and so on. Every unit within the period is 10 times bigger than the unit to the right. And that's important to know this, okay? This here is 10 times bigger than this. The thousands is 10 times bigger than the hundreds. The millions is 10 times bigger than the 100,000s. So when you move to the left, when you're moving this direction, when you're moving left, that each digit is 10 times larger than the digit in the place after it. Okay? If we're moving to the right, okay? If we're moving to the right, that says here the value of each digit is 10 times smaller than the digit in the place before it. Okay? So this number here, okay, this number here is 10 times smaller than that there. Okay, it's 1/10. The ones is 1/10. And think of it as money. You'll find out that I really like to talk about money because I really like money. So if you think of it like this, if you have a dollar bill, you have $1, right? You have a dollar bill, you have $1. If you've got a $10 bill, you've got $10, right? Now you can get a $10 bill, or you could have how many $1 bills to make 10? 10 $1 bills, right? So if I have 10 $1 bills, if I have one of those, I have $1 and I have 1/10 of that. Okay? $1 is 10 times smaller than a $10 bill. Is that kind of weird to think about that? That a $1 bill is 10 times smaller than a $10 bill? So a $10 bill is 10 times bigger than a $1 bill? A $100 bill is 10 times bigger than a $10 bill?
No.
You know that, right? Do you know that?
Yeah.
So you can say that a $10 bill is 1/10 the size of a $100 bill. Because it takes 10 $10 bills to make $100, okay? So what we're going to do is we're going to look at these two pieces here, okay? And what is key to understand is that you have two numbers that are underlined in our example, because it tells us that we're going to write one statement comparing the underlined digits, okay? And I'm going to move this up so we can kind of get this further up here and not down there, so we can all see it. Okay, first of all, this 2 that's on the right-hand side, what place is that in? What place value is that in?
Ones.
It is in the ones. So we have one number in the ones, and I would suggest looking at your paper so you can see, because trying to look at it up here may be a little bit difficult. We have one other number, another 2, okay? What place value is that second 2 in that's further to the left?
What place is it?
What place is that 2 in right there?
It's in the 100,000.
Ah,
No, 10,000.
There you go. It's in the 10,000s place. Good job. It is in the 10,000s place, okay? So we have to write a statement about these two numbers, okay? And if you'll look on your packet, okay, you'll look at your paper. Those of you that are at home, it's going to be a single paper. Those of you that are here, it's actually the packet, okay? So what I want you to do is, we know that our 2 is in the ones place. The first one is. So I'm going to scroll back up here real quick. So our first 2 is right there. Our second 2 is in the 10,000s place, which is right there. So we want to write a statement about this. So what we're going to do, we're going to look at these places, and we're going to count the number of places from this 2 to this 2, okay? And we have, there's what? 1 space, right? From there to there. Then we have a second space. We have a third space. And we have a fourth space. So there's 4 places to get from the ones place over to the 10,000s place. So we're going to use these numbers at the bottom. Okay, we're going to use these numbers at the bottom, these times 10. Okay. The 10s is 10 times bigger than the 1s. We agree with that? We talked about the money a minute ago, right? Now, let's jump to the hundreds compared to the ones. How many $1 bills make $100? 100 $1 bills make $100, right? So that means the hundreds place is 100 times bigger than the ones place. Okay? So the 10s would be 10 times bigger. The hundreds would be 100 times bigger. So if we're going to move one more place to the left, if you notice, we're just kind of adding zeros. So if this is 10 times bigger, 100 times bigger, what do we think this one's going to be?
1,000.
There you go. 1,000 times bigger. Okay? And we're going to move one more. So 10 times bigger, 100 times bigger, 1,000 times bigger. What do you think is going to go next? 10,000 times bigger. Okay? So really we're comparing 20,000 and 2. Those are the 2 numbers. So this number was 10,000 times bigger than our 2 in the ones place. Because it'll take 10,000 of these to make that. Okay? Questions right now, because I know that's a lot to take in. If it doesn't make sense, you got to tell me, okay? Does it make sense? Okay, so we're going to write a statement. We're going to scroll back down and write a statement. We know it's 10,000 times bigger. So our statement is going to be that, put this right back here where it belongs, okay? So we're going to put this statement that the 2 in the 10,000s place, I'll stop right there, let you catch up. The 2 in the 10,000s place is 10,000 times bigger than the 2 in the ones place. Okay? The 2 in the 10,000s place is 10,000 times bigger than the 2 in the ones place. kind of makes sense that this 2 is bigger than that one because it's further down our place value chart, right? Kind of makes sense. So we're going to look at the other one, and we're going to kind of go backwards this time, okay? We're not going to make it larger, we're going to make it smaller, okay? So we have 2 numbers that are underlined, okay? We have 2 3s, and the 3 on the far right is in the tens place. Okay, the 3 on the far right is in the tens place. And the 3 on the far left is going to be in the, see, ones, tens, hundreds, thousands, 10,000s, 100,000s, millions, 10 millions, 100 millions. Okay? So the 3 on the far right is going to be in the 100 millions place. And again, with this particular example, we're going to make it smaller. We're going to go the opposite direction. Okay? Instead of making and saying that it's bigger, we're going to say that it's smaller. Because we're going to have to do both here. We're going to do large and small. Okay? So we have the tens place and the 100 millions place. So I'm going to scroll back up. I'm going to erase this for us. I'm going to scroll back up. We have the tens place and the 100 millions place. So we have a 3 here, and we have a 3 in this place here, okay? So instead of moving this direction to make it larger, we're going to move this direction and we're going to make it smaller, okay? So if I'm moving here from the 100 millions to the 10 millions, okay? That is going to be not 10 times, but 1/10. It's going to be 1/10 the size of the 100 millions. Okay? If we move from the 10 millions to the millions place, it is 1/100th the size of the spot before it. Okay? We move again. 1/1000. We can move again. 1/10,000. We're going to move again. 1/100,000. We'll move again. 1/1,000,000th. And we're going to move one more time, and it's going to be we'll put that over here on the side, 1/10,000,000th. Who thinks they know what all that means? You told me that this is, we're in the 100 millions, that's 300 million. Okay? So we have 300 million. And then we have 3 tens, which is how much? 3 tens is how much? Well, 1 10 is 10, right? What's 2 tens?
20,
20. So 3 tens.
30.
All right. So we have 300 million and we have 30. It will take, of this 30, it'll take 10 million 30s to make 300 million. So this number, okay, is 1/10,000,000th the size of the larger number. So let's put this in perspective for a minute. If you could cut a piece of paper into 300 million individual pieces, would they be very small?
Yes.
Imagine cutting a single piece of paper into 300 million little bitty pieces. that's the whole amount, but then take 30 of those out. Each individual piece is going to be tiny, okay? But what you have total is that 30 pieces times 10 million to get that 300 million, okay? So 30 is very small compared to 300 million. So if we're going to write our statement, we're going to come down here, so we're going to write our statement. I have to erase this stuff to get us back here. So what we're going to say is that the 3 in the 100 millions place, actually take that back, I'm going to change that. We're doing it differently. The 3 in the tens place, okay? The 3 in the tens place is 1 what did we say? Remember what we said we were counting? 1/10 millionth, okay, is 1 1/10 millionth. The size of the 3 in the 100 millions place. So it's quite a bit smaller. So it says the 3 in the tens place is 1/10 millionth, the size of the 3 in the 100 millions place. So the 3 in the tens place is 1/10 millionth the size of the 3 in the 100 millions place. Right? No, that's a lot to soak in for the fact that you really haven't been doing a whole lot of math since March. Okay, it's kind of a lot to kind of soak in. But the 3 in the tens place is 1/10 millionth the size of the 3 in the 100 millions place. So we're going to use what we just did here to complete this bottom table. Okay, so for those of you that are in here, we're going to be using this part at the top. For those of you that are watching this at home, we're still going to use this up here at the top so we can kind of follow along with this. So we're first going to start with, it says the value of the underlying digit is blank, the value of the underlying digit. So we're starting here, that the 9 in 39,432 is what compared to the value of the 9 in 49? So here's my first question. In the first number, what place value is this 9 in? What place value is the 9 in? The underlined 9. What place value?
Thousands.
Okay, it's in the thousands place. Okay, so I'm just going to put thousands here. And what place value is the 9 in our second number?
Ones.
In the ones. Okay? So think about this for a minute. Think about where the thousands place is compared to the ones place. Okay? So from the thousands place to the ones, and I'm going to leave this up here. Okay? I'm going to leave this part up here so we can kind of keep that there. We're going to go back and look. So that's kind of nice you have that in front of you. If you go back and look, we're going from the thousands to the ones. Okay, this number here, we have one here and one here. We have a 9 here and a 9 here. And the question was, the value in the 9 and this number here is blank the value of the underlined 9 there, which is 49. So again, we go back bigger. This is 10 times bigger than that, 100 times bigger than that, and 1,000 times bigger than that one. So in our blank, the 9 here is 1,000 times the value of the 9 here. Okay? 1,000 times the value of that 9. Okay? And we're saying it's 1,000 times because the first number here is larger than the second. 39,432 is larger than 49. Okay? Let's look at the second one. So we're talking about a 4. So let's first find our 4. What place is that 4 in right there?
Ones.
The ones. Okay, and the 4 here is in
10,000.
thousands is going to be the first one there, but it's the 10,000s. Okay, the 10,000s. So we have a number smaller. Okay, this number is going to be smaller than this one. So if we start with the ones, we have the ones, the tens, the hundreds, the thousands, and the 10,000s. So from here to there was 1/10. That was 1/100th, because each level is 10 times smaller than the one before it. So from hundreds to tens would be 1/1000, and then from tens to ones is going to be 1/10,000. So the 4 here is 1/10,000th the time or the size of the other underlined number. This is smaller than that. It would take 10,000 of those to make that. Okay? 10,000 of these 4s would have to be used to make the 4 in the 10,000th place. Okay. Questions up to this point here? Okay. For those of you that are watching and doing this at home, I want you to finish out that last bit. And what I want you to work on would be the 3rd page in the packet that looks something like this. Hope you can see that from there. The top of it says place value practice with whole numbers. It's the 3rd page of the document, or the 3rd document that was uploaded. Okay, we're going to finish that in here. I also need you to watch. There is a video on how to make a place value chart that looks like this. Unfortunately, I had to upload the document on 2 separate pages. Theirs here has got a front and a back, so yours will be a little bit different. Okay, so you'll have to figure out how to do that. You may have to print off the 2 pages, glue one to the back, or tape them together and go from there. And I'll have another video up on how to complete the assignment with this and this. Okay? If you have any questions, please email me, Kenvo me, You can send me a message on Teams and we can go from there.